I move to adopt resolution number 1107-0917, setting the city fee schedule and to set the 2018 building fee schedule. It doesn't say anything in this motion about option B. Do we need to say something about the renewal program?
It's in the...
It's in the, okay, so that is my motion.
Okay. Now, what we'll do is we'll take a second. We will not vote. We will then open it up for discussion amongst ourselves. So is there a second to that motion? I will second it. Okay. So there's a motion and a second to approve this. Any further discussion? I would say that...
Yes, further discussion.
Yeah, now is the time for further discussion. And I would just say that this 20% increase, in my opinion, is a compromise. I think we will actually, the 20%, now, let's speak on the motion before us, okay? Going to 2015 rates, I really believe, is a huge, huge mistake. And so I've said over the past 3 or 4 months through many opportunities that I thought it was a mistake, and I will vote that it is a mistake. Because it's just, we've just started down a road of trying to get our community working again. And so what I can do on this, I will vote against this motion, and I'm speaking for the same reasons that a lot of people brought up, that we just experienced a very wonderful year where the building department actually received more money back to it than it had for a long time because more people were active in their building permits, and almost to the tune, it was only like $15,000 that the general fund had to pay back. So I think we had a good run of success, and I think that can continue. But I think, as has been pointed out, and pointed out in my conversations in the community, that the 2015 levels of $18,000 in fees to build on a single-family lot would be an extreme jump, and we just jumped out of there. Why would we jump back? And so I've said this several times. I do sympathize with staff in this. I sympathize with them through this difficult process of continually bringing options to us and us taking a lot longer than we probably should to make decisions, and I concede to that. But I am firm in what I believe, and I will entertain my thought on what we could do after this. But for me speaking to this, I would not support this motion. So.
Okay. Kathy, do you want to go first?
Yes,
or shall I?
I do. I'm going to read this because I always say I'm going to forget what I'm going to say, so I write it down so I get every point in. I want to make very, very, very clear that nobody has influenced my decision on either side, whether adopting back on the 2015 fees and going forward with a new renewal program, or raising the fees 20%. This has been my decision, and after all said and done, I don't want people to say, someone got to her and changed her mind. Nobody changed my mind. I changed my mind for what I'm going to say. So, at one point, I believed the option B was good, but I started talking to individuals and getting their thoughts on it. Both sides shared why option A would work and why option B would work. And I studied it a lot, both sides. And I tell you, I talked to a majority of the people in this room on this subject, so I got feedback on everybody. Let me explain myself. It would be awesome to have 0 fees for a renewal program and revive this city. We would get empty lots bought, new houses would be built, and neighborhoods would be cleaned up. But I am not comfortable, after I've thought about it and talked to people, I am not comfortable with going back to the 2015 rates, the fees. The raising of the fees back up for option B is to subsidize the 0 fees for this renewal program. So I'm thinking, we don't know yet if anybody would even grab a 2015 fee, 18,000 plus. We don't know that for sure. But we may have people that come in and want to do the renewal program. So we're still subsidizing that program on a hope that someone would build a few houses at the 2015 level. But we're still trying to get back on our feet from a very difficult time called the recession. None of us can say the building, none of us can say the building spikes was due to lower fees or it happened because our economy was improving. I believe a bit of both. So what I would like to see at this point, we raise the building fees 20% as of January 1st, 2018. We study the progress each month, and I'm going to be really strict on this. I want to report every month how it's going. For the first 6 months, we look to see if the building fees are continuing to work well with the building of new homes and businesses. If we see a continued climb in building permits for new homes and businesses, then we will continue close monitoring this. If there is no continuous substantial growth in new homes and business at the 6-month level, we then can go back and seriously consider the renewal program with some different ways of getting it. I'll be looking very closely to these next few months to see how many builders come in for permits for single-family living or building a new business. We all want new housing, also a great, thriving town. We can have both if we work hard to produce this. I just wrote some bullet points down. We need to wait on the 2018 budget to see if this renewal program would work financially for this program. We don't know what the budget would say. Let's wait for the 2018 budget to see if we can do this incentive program. We do not know what the budget is for 2018 to sustain the renewable program, even if we charge the 2015 fees. I would like to put together a committee of community leaders and business owners and builders and put them together to maybe come up with an incentive program that the city staff has not thought of. We have 3 months that we can do that. I feel the jump back to the 2015 fees is too big of a jump. I love the renewal program, but not the 2015 building fees. If we were to go back to the 2015 building fees, why do you need to bring, well, here's a question for Craig. If we went back to the 2015 fees, why do we have to eliminate the water and sewer hookup that you had said that you were going to have the contractor work, and we wouldn't be in charge? Am I right on that, or am I wrong?
I didn't understand the question.
Well, a few weeks ago, you said you were going to start having the contractor of a house or building do the hookup for water and sewer, and that you would just oversee it. You would not, the city would not be doing the hookup anymore. Is that right?
We passed that.
Right. So I'm thinking, why, if we go back to the 2015 fees, why would we re-implement that part into it, bringing it in? It says here.
We wouldn't. As I mentioned to you on Thursday, that was an error on those two components. So that,
Okay.
we were directed about 2 months ago to fix an issue that came from the reduction. That issue was that anybody, are we past the point?
This week, I believe.
So we had an issue with water connections, and we were essentially doing the work out of the water department's, out of their budget that was not planned. And we had one come in recently that is going to likely cost us $10,000 to do. So that was an oversight that was corrected by you guys a couple weeks ago.
So for if we were to go back to 2015 fees, there would not be a charge from the city would not do the hookup? That would be the contractor that would have that, do the hookup on that?
It's a contractor fee.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. So, right at this time, I'm not comfortable with putting the fees way back up to 2015. I would like to, we have 3 months, I want to see how many more builders come in the 3 months to grab these prices before they even go up 20%. Then I want to know who comes in after the first of the year. And I would like to get together a program that we can figure out an incentive program to do the lots and the houses and whatever in the city. So that's where I'm coming from.
Okay?
Oh, good, it's my turn. First of all, I would like to say that I'm really disappointed in Commissioner McDowell. She was very, very clear last week and had very clear reasons as to why she supported option B. I don't believe it is a clear decision that you haven't been swayed one way or another. Obviously, the mayor had prior knowledge of this. Thus, the champions in the audience, I believe, were set up to champion the mayor's
You're
feelings about
borderline
this.
personal attacks, and I don't like it.
Good, I'll
I'll
stop.
just tell you right now.
I'll stop.
Why don't you just say what you want?
I am
explain-
saying
explain,
exactly
but-
what I
but when
want.
you're
May I
attacking-
speak?
No, because you're attacking, and we don't like that.
I am disappointed in you.
You can be
I
all
am
you want.
disappointed in Commissioner McDowell.
That's
Let me
fine,
speak.
but don't insult people.
I'm insulted right now.
Well, I'm sorry about that, because you didn't get it
Okay,
from
my
me.
turn.
Absolutely.
So, I'm just really disappointed. This definitely appears that the mayor had prior knowledge of what the outcome of this was going to be. I didn't say I know that, I say it appears. I don't think there's anybody here that wouldn't agree with me. So especially given Commissioner McDowell's comments last time, and your comments last time, and your prepared statement last time, and Commissioner McDowell's prepared statement this time. So, and now I will get to the issue. Number one, I have a number of issues here. The numbers that we have been fed for the last couple of years regarding the fact that Shelton has built 2 houses per year the last 10 years is not accurate. If you look at the building permits, you will find that in the last 10 years prior to 2016, we had an average of 9.2 houses a year. That's a big difference. We also, if the fee reduction is so critical, why have we had no single-family residence permits applied for in the last 2 months? I can assure you that our surrounding area, Olympia, Tumwater, has had more than no housing permits, and their fees are quite a bit more than ours. The schools, our citizens of Shelton, the people who live in Shelton, not necessarily builders, the people who live in Shelton in good faith voted to increase their property taxes, their school taxes to build new schools. That is going to be a big hurt for people who we are constantly reminded and constantly in knowledge that they're struggling. And that's why we're trying to build a better community with limited funds. Is it fair that our citizens are paying for these new schools, including the permits and the development fees, in their taxes, and then they are still having to pay again to make up the fees that we are not getting from the schools to fulfill the needs that we have of doing those permits? It's like, it's not free, people. It comes from the general fund. The people pay their taxes, which is not as big as is many times promoted, but they are will be paying for their schools twice. I think that's horrible. Whatever it is that I'm doing here, is fees are not revenue. It's not like this money is coming in and that's money that we have to spend, and so it doesn't really matter if we don't charge what it truly costs us to do permits. The fees are based on how much it costs us to provide a service. And so it's not one of those things that, oh, we can just be generous and we're not going to have to pay that any other way. That's not true. We need to look at what we are striving for in our community. What do our citizens want from their community? Who do we want to attract to our community? A renewal program would help us with all of those things. Our citizens frequently talk about they want the city cleaned up. They want these buildings abated. They want renewal in their neighborhoods. Yeah, it's nice to have new homes in a development, but you know what? That doesn't change the property values of the surrounding houses in these older neighborhoods. It doesn't make up for a home that is sitting there with vagrants and dilapidated. It doesn't make up for the effect that has on neighborhoods. Renewal programs are a proven method of revitalizing neighborhoods and business districts. They bring about community pride, increased property values, using investor dollars to clean up problem properties, not city dollars, investment dollars. And true, a renewal program, we would be subsidizing, the city would be paying out some money for that, but the effect would be better than 12 houses in a development, which I do believe those are important, but I mean for the general public, for the general citizenry, we need those investment dollars spread around throughout our city so that we do not create areas of gentrification. Gary mentioned homeless and low-income housing last week, very concerned about that. A renewal program would make it much more attractive for entities that provide affordable housing to come in and build homes, build a apartment building. We have a couple of areas that would be targeted in our renewal program that could provide multifamily housing. There was one thing in Heidi's letter, and I think, I don't know if I misunderstood this, but it's not 100% increase on the building permit fees. It's not like we're saying, oh, it's going to jump 100%. It's some, but it's not that amount. And finally, if the fees went up to 2015 rates, and if nobody built a single-family house, would it be better for the city to collect the full rates for the upcoming huge building projects that we know are coming? Maybe it would. Maybe it would, if we're so worried about it. Is it better for that? And nobody's saying, oh, don't charge the schools except Maryland. I am, maybe that's all I have for now.
Okay. Here's what I think we need to do. I'm not even against Plan B, but I have asked several times, we can do part of both. I mean, I think Commissioner McDowell and myself, and obviously Commissioner Moore, are interested in taking old buildings and cleaning them up and having newer multifamily built there and stuff. But the options that were presented to us, we have to make our decision. And I think that after the decision we make tonight, we need to be fairly quick on setting things in order to move in a direction. And these things probably need to be brought to us more in pieces, possibly. Maybe we could have, okay, what do you think about stock plans? Okay, I think those are a great idea. How much will that cost the city? How are we doing with our budget? Let's add stock plans. What about giving an incentive to these 3 building sites? Okay, but to generically put a lot in one option, it kind of almost forced my hand to say, well, I don't want that. I'm open to all those things, but a lot of it has to do with time and money. And by the way, I think that a building permit fee right now on a single-family lot is around $7,500. Does anybody here know if that is correct? Is it $7,800, $7,500?
Building permit
Yeah.
fee is about $1,750, I think.
$1,700? No.
Correct.
No, I meant all fees, hookup
Oh.
fees, everything.
I think it's around 9,
Yeah.
all told.
And now it's 9,000?
If you built, that is based on a $193,000 valuation,
Okay.
all in, you need everything.
Okay, so if you take 9,000 and you times it by 2, which is a 100% increase, that is $18,000 per lot, and that is what the 2015 rate is. So Heidi's letter was correct, it is a 100% increase.
Okay.
Okay,
I
so just-
I never claimed to be a math whiz.
Okay, but that is a true statement. Okay, now, to try and attempt to get emotion out of this and try to come down to making a decision. We have a motion and a second on the floor, okay? And this is just the first step. So we need to address this issue. It appears that we can vote on this now. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that motion fails.